You are not a beginner. You just think you are. And you've been thinking that you are for a long time. You've trained your mind to believe, oh no, I'm still so new at this. And that's making you think you don't have permission to do what you want to do. I coach people writing books and blogs and brands and speaking their podcasts and their YouTube videos, their TED Talks, and over again. Whether somebody's been doing it 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, people will say, I'm still a beginner. And I laugh because I know what that feels like. When I was a new teacher of writing, I let myself think I was new or a beginner for about 10 years. I really did. I just kept thinking, I don't feel totally at home with the content I've written or what I'm sharing with my students. So I guess it's because I'm still a beginner, but I wasn't. I wasn't at all. It was just a thought. It was just this idea that it's got to be more perfect than it is for me to claim that I'm experienced and that it's working and that it's going well. So I know where you're at when you're thinking, I've got to be a beginner, but I want to help you with this. Because if you're someone who is willing to prepare, you're going to find right away that you start to shift inside. It's just a little preparation. So, for example, today I was thinking, I want to go on YouTube and I want to talk to people about being a beginner. And I think I just want a couple of points and I was pulling from my wisdom. And then I wrote a few things down and I thought about it for a moment. I thought about what would be valuable to you, and then I pressed record. And if you've been here for any time, I do unedited videos, and what you get is what you get. But what I'm noticing is that over time, I don't worry about being a beginner anymore. What I sometimes worry about is, did I prepare? Like, I'm not someone who uses scripts. I don't have a script here I'm reading. I don't have notes over here. I'm talking with you, and I'm talking based on what I know to be true and I can share with you. But there are times when I've thought, oh, maybe that would have been better if I believed in scripting out every word and then trying to read it on the screen or whatever people do. And yet, I think I think for me, getting prepared means for me writing something out, taking a good look at those words, identifying that those are the exact words I want to say. If I wanted to say something different, I would have written something different. We get into comparing ourselves to others. And if you write down, this is what I want to share with people, and you get familiar with looking at it, it's right there. Whatever you wrote down, you get familiar with the concept that I'm not a beginner, I'm just me. I'm just me in my brand, doing my best to offer what I know I'm good at. And you are the same. Whether you're writing that book, that blog, that brand, those YouTube videos, the podcast, the TED Talk, whatever it is you're up to and expressing yourself in, you have your way of doing it. You have your own brand. You have your own identity and your own self-concept. And you might feel like a beginner, like being witnessed by others. But that doesn't mean you are a beginner with your content and your ideas and what you're offering people. Doesn't mean that at all. They're very different. So, in addition to to preparing, I also want you to think about the idea that nothing needs to be perfect for it to be shared. Really, nothing. I was working with a guy that he came to me because it was just before Valentine's Day and he wanted to write a little love letter to the girl, a couple cubicles over from where he worked. And he wanted to ask her out. And it was just so sweet. And he said, "Do you do this? Do you help people with their love letters?" And I thought, I'm not going to tell him that I've probably only done it once before, because then he might think I'm a beginner. But what I'm going to tell him is I've been helping people write from the heart for a couple decades. Let's do this. And so he trusted me because I trusted me. I trusted me that this might even only be the second love letter that I've helped somebody do. I've been helping people for a long time. And even if it was just like, let's say he'd come to me in the first 3 months that I had been working with people. Well, I'm 3 months in. I'm not a beginner anymore. Maybe I'm still learning all the capacity that I have, but that doesn't mean I'm just brand new beginner. And same's true for you. And I really want you to adopt this idea that if you're if you're writing stuff down, just writing down what are your ideas, letting yourself look at it. That's my voice there. That's my voice on, pretend this is a sheet of paper. That's my voice, or maybe you like to type it out. That's my voice on that screen. Then you're seeing, I'm not a beginner. I'm someone relating with my voice. And the more I let myself relate with my voice, the more I'll understand others want to relate with me too. Because we all have something to offer, all of us. There's a guy I've watched on YouTube, and when I first saw him, he'd get in front of YouTube and he's like, you could tell he'd just push the button and he'd be like, "Okay, everybody, I've worked really hard on this recipe. I'm going to show you how to do it on my grill today. So here we go." And I mean, I could just tell he was nervous because of how big his eyes were and how he was kind of, it was really sweet. But here we are, maybe 3 or 4 years later, and he's still outside and he's still grilling up his recipes and he has more confidence. So I think sometimes we believe that we're beginners because we just don't feel all that confidence boiling up inside of us yet. But it doesn't mean that you can't share. It doesn't mean you can't go live. It just means you might be a little scared the first time you do it. But what if you prepared just a little bit, you know? Gave yourself the opportunity to really look over what you want to say. Maybe if you need to, put some notes over there. Maybe that'll help you feel more confident. I don't see well. So if I had notes over there, I'd be like, what's that say? I'd be squinting. It would really throw me off. I've noticed even when I've like brought like a note card and I've had it here, same thing. I'm like, I don't see well, so I I have to really look at it. It doesn't help. So I've learned that if I want to be that person that says I'm going to click go live, then I need to anticipate that even though I've prepared, I might feel a little skittish inside, or I might lose my place and have to start over. Those things can happen, but it doesn't mean that I don't belong, I shouldn't do it. It doesn't mean anything like that, and it doesn't mean that for you. You're not a beginner anymore. You're not. You've been someone committed for a week, a month, a year, 2 years, 5 years, however long you've been at it. You're not a beginner anymore. You're just dealing with some nerves. And if you want to really go to that next level, I offer coaching where I help people really reinvent themselves and understand that you've got this voice inside of you that will express the true you, the real you that you wrote down. This is me. This is me. This is the message I want to share. Here it is. I put it on paper. I want to share it with people. I'll help you go from, I got an idea, but I want to be able to say it. I want to be able to put it in that blog post, click post, and not take it down. I want to be able to click record and put it on YouTube and not take it down. I want to go live. You might be thinking that. I want to be live. I want to be with people. And I don't want them to be thinking I'm a beginner. We got to start with you understanding inside of you. Really feel it inside of you. I'm not a beginner, even if I'm a little nervous. Even if I've only prepared for a little while and I could have prepared for a year, I'm not a beginner. I'm willing to start. I'm willing to get consistent. Show up. Try it out. And be like that guy that did the grilling and his eyes are wide open and he's saying, I got something for you and I'm gonna show you today on the grill. So let's go out and I'll grill for you. I mean, even though we all knew he was nervous, and even though he knew he was really nervous, it showed. He offered us that recipe outside, and he continued to do it. And now, some years later, confident as all get out, he's got a lot of subscribers. In fact, I should probably reach out to him and ask him if I could like link. I should do that. I should, and you could go and watch and go, wow, not only am I learning how to cook outside, but I'm noticing how he's improved over time, but how he's just continued to show up and go from someone nervous, but doing it, to someone who's probably still almost just as nervous, but he's doing it. And you know what the big difference is? It's not necessarily that he's better on the grill, but it's often that when we reinvent ourselves from, I'm a beginner, to, I got 50 videos now. I've been doing this for 6 months now. There's a certain acceptance of who we are that lets us go live. It lets us go out there in front of our audience because we've been doing it and we haven't been taking it away and going, oh, you can't see that. That was early days. We just accept that was part of the path. It really was. And I know I thought as a early teacher, I used to teach at a college and your reviews really mattered, really mattered. And I never could understand how I got really good reviews those first few years because I knew I was in the learning curve. I was nervous and I didn't know if I was doing a great job. When you're a teacher, you don't have anyone in the classroom that's experienced telling you. You've just got students, and what if they aren't happy with you? But one thing that people knocked me down for in the reviews was they would say, her approach to grading wasn't all that organized. She graded us in all these different ways. See, I thought that was good. Like, give them ways to get a participation grade or a merit grade. I thought they would like that, but they didn't. But one thing I scored really high in, always, even when I was in my first semester of teaching, was people said, she loves teaching. I can feel it. I like being in her classroom. And I was like, wow, I was so glad that came through while I was nervous because it was true. I loved knowing I've picked the career for me and I'm new, but I'm at it. But I held on to this idea for a really long time. I'm still a beginner. I'm still a beginner. And I think that kept me feeling nervous, really nervous, way longer than I needed to, And we're going to feel some nerves even many years into it. Some nerves. But as you do it, you reinvent that old identity that says, I'm just a beginner. And it starts saying, I have something to offer. I want to offer it. I like offering it. I like feeling on purpose. I like knowing that I'm doing what I said I would do. And I keep growing and expanding. I keep making more money, more friends, more clients, more whatever you want, because you're showing up and saying yes. You're reinventing. You're taking away the old identity of I'm just a beginner, and you're moving into I have something to offer, and so I will, and so I'm here. If this interests you at all, really reinventing yourself and kind of catapulting where you were just in the early days to where you could be at like the 10-year level, but moving that faster. I'd love to help you with that. And I've got links below where you could reach out if you're interested. Until next time, my friends, just keep practicing and tell yourself every day when you go to write it down, this is me. This is me on paper. This is me doing what I'm meant to do and what I want to do. And even if I'm nervous, I'm not a beginner. I'm qualified. I'm ready. And I'm here. My best of luck to you.